Hello Sassy Beauties, this is Katie. Welcome back to my channel. So this channel is for high value, ambitious women who want to attract and keep high value, high quality men. So in today's video, I want to talk about what to do if a man that used to be interested in you has suddenly lost interest and has disappeared. Now this is a really common scenario, and I'll share a bit about my own personal experience with this, and I'll talk about why I believe I handled this the right way, the feminine way, and why I really encourage you to think about whether you're embracing your feminine energy and utilizing that to your advantage or you're not. From what I can see, a lot of women, especially career-driven, ambitious women, don't really understand how powerful your feminine energy really is. With that said too, if you want to understand a little bit more about the feminine energy and to know what your current feminine energy score is, check out the link on the screen or in the description. I have put together a fun little quiz for you to figure out your personal feminine energy score and for you to know how magnetic you are to men. Let's talk about what to do. This is a really frustrating situation to be in, so I'll talk about what happened to me. Before I met my husband and I was single, right? I was just happy being single. I was just doing my single business, and then all of a sudden one day I met this one man. And the moment I met him, I knew I was in trouble because I felt butterflies in the stomach. I felt super attracted to him. Not only that, we had a ton in common. He was an artist. I was doing art at the time. So I was very attracted to him because we had something in common there. So I felt like we had an emotional connection as well. So as soon as I felt all of these feelings, which I'm very familiar with at this point, I knew I was in trouble because I could feel myself changing. And I'm very aware that when we like someone, we behave and act differently because our emotions, all these emotions are coming out of us that we normally wouldn't have, right? So we don't think as clear-headedly as we normally would. And I don't think that's a bad thing, by the way. There's a reason why these emotions are coming up and why it's dictating our actions. So what happened was I met him, sparks flew. I was extremely confident this guy was going to pursue me and chase me because he was reciprocating the spark. So he was really into me as well. That first day we met, we actually kissed, and it was pretty strong, I thought. Well, what happened was a week went by and he didn't message me, didn't text me, didn't ask me out, didn't make plans to see me, nothing. So at this point, I was starting to get a little worried, as you would, because I was sure, I was so positive that, things were going to develop between us. So what I did was I ended up, over the next few weeks, I ended up orchestrating these events where, I could potentially spend time with him. So we ended up seeing each other once a week because of these events that I created. So I had an excuse basically to see him and spend time with him. And our relationship kind of went along that way. We would fool around, we would still joke and banter, we would still had a really strong connection, good conversations, everything was still great. But I could tell, right? I sensed that, he wasn't really pursuing me the way I expected he would. So after a couple of weeks of this, I even asked him, oh, I guess you're not interested in a relationship, And he didn't deny it. So I knew he wasn't really, ready for a relationship or wanted a relationship, and who knew what he was really thinking. At that time, I I just knew I really liked him. I just wanted to spend more time with him. You know, I was afraid to have those kind of relationship-y conversations because I didn't feel that they were appropriate because we were not in a relationship, nor were we dating or anything like that. So that was basically what happened. And here's the lesson I want you to take away from this. I did a few things right. So what I did right was I allowed, being in my feminine, I allowed space to be there between us. So if he didn't message me, I allowed him to not message me. I didn't say to myself, oh, he hasn't messaged me in a week. What's going on? I thought, you know, he would be wanting to spend time with me and see me. I also didn't, you know, say to him, okay, I want to know where we're going. What's going on? I didn't demand answers from him. I didn't demand something from him. That energy is very masculine. When you're going to the man, demanding answers, wanting him to confirm or deny or something, what you're worried about, what you're anxious about, that's a very masculine energy. And it's also very needy and clingy. So I didn't do any of that. I allowed that space to be there. If he wanted to step into it and pursue me, he could have. Or if he didn't want to do that, you know, I was going to accept that, and I did. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, you did orchestrate these events so you can see him, right? And yeah, I did. But notice how that's a very different thing from me directly going to him and asking to spend time with him. So I wasn't directly asking, hey, let's hang out this weekend. Let's go have coffee. Let's have dinner together. Let's do this. Let's do that. Okay. I wasn't directly asking and creating plans and organizing things like that. I wasn't pursuing in that way. So the feminine is the way the feminine goes about, I guess, spending time with someone or getting someone to do something is they, let's use the word, even though I don't really like the word, manipulates very indirectly. Okay, so she's never going directly to the person to get something out of him, but she is going around the situation, okay, very indirectly. So I was creating these events where potentially other people could come to them and just inviting him as well, very indirect. Even though I knew with these events, no one else would no one else would come, and it would just be us, and we have a routine where we do certain things with each other when we get together, right? But I would never talk about that. I would just create these events and be very innocent about it. So that was the feminine way, right? Very feminine. And I also just, if he didn't pursue me, I didn't go to him and act all, you know, shitty and snappy and bitchy, like, oh, I deserve more than this, I need you to do this, I have certain standards. You know, I didn't do that. I just allowed him to do whatever he needed to do. So sometimes weeks would go by, I wouldn't talk to him. You know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month even, where I wouldn't hear from him. You know, so that I think I did right. Okay, I didn't push it onto him. I didn't ask him to hang out. I didn't, you know, like directly go into the masculine and chase him in that way. So after about a couple of months of this, at this point, I knew he wasn't interested in a relationship. Now, I wasn't going to continue to create these events where we would just hang out at these events because I was starting to get attached. I was starting to, you know, spend more and more time thinking about him, yearning him, missing him, wondering if he was seeing other women, you know, going out at night and being with other women, you know, like those thoughts, it was starting to really bother me, right? And because I was developing feelings. So after a couple of months, because I wasn't resisting those feelings, I was just allowing whatever feelings came up. And, you know, whether it was disappointment, anger, jealousy, I allowed the emotions to come up and to be there. I gave them room to basically be with those emotions and to be processed. And because I didn't resist them, after a couple of months, the writing was on the wall. Clearly he wasn't interested. And because I allowed my emotions, I was basically over him on the 3rd month, okay? By the 3rd month, I was like, didn't really care anymore. I knew he wasn't that interested, and he wasn't messaging me, I wasn't messaging him, and I didn't care anymore. So even if I would think about him, it wouldn't trigger strong emotions anymore because I already felt all those strong emotions. I allowed them to run through me. And let me tell you, it was tough. Those couple of months, it was really hard on me emotionally. And in fact, if I think back to that time, you know, even now thinking back to that time, I had a harder time during those couple of months than I did after my 4-year breakup, right? It was harder on me, and we didn't even have a relationship. It was just us hanging out every now and then. But emotionally, it felt like a breakup for me. And because it felt like a breakup, and because I had just gone through a breakup actually, I think I'd gone through a breakup a year before that, I knew how to process those feelings. And because I allowed those feelings come through me, I gave them the space, I was present with those feelings, I was over it relatively quickly. So on the 3rd month, I was over it. Didn't really care anymore. If I thought about him, I was like, whatever, next. You know, I have moved on emotionally. So emotionally, I was fine. I was over it. And that is what I did well. You know, I see some women, and it takes some women months, like 6 months or more, maybe sometimes years to get over someone. As in, if they think about that person, it still brings up a lot of emotions, okay, or emotions threatening to come up. And I think the reason that is happening is because they didn't allow those feelings to come up in the first place. They didn't fully allow the feelings there, whatever the emotions that wanted to be there, right? So in a healthy way, they can be processed. So that's what I did well. I stayed in my feminine that entire time, you know, allowed him to either step into the space that I allowed to be or not. It was fine. I was willing to accept. You know, during that whole time too, I did not delude myself. I didn't, you know, step into that space for him and you know, created all these conversations and scenarios and deluded myself into thinking, oh, everything's going great because he's talking to me and we're having fun conversations and we're having sex and everything's great. I didn't do that. I stayed true to reality. And the reality was I was initiating 70% of the time, him only 30%, if that. And majority of our conversations, he was just responding to me initiating. So I stayed true to that. I was present to that. I was not deluding myself. I was very aware of the reality. I didn't tell myself there was something there that wasn't there. And I think the big reason I was able to stay true to reality was because I allowed that space to be there, okay? Not only that, I didn't go in there and try to demand answers. I didn't try to use my masculine to force something to happen. So some of you ladies may think, okay, I've been in similar situations and I have used my masculine. I have maybe acted kind of bitchy and I've said things because I was angry, I was annoyed, and then afterwards I regretted it. So that is the difference between using your masculine in that scenario and using your feminine. When you're in your masculine, the outcome may still be the same, right? He may still not be interested. If a guy's not interested, he's not interested. Whether you're feminine or masculine, he's still not gonna necessarily be interested if he's not interested, right? But what happens is if you're in your masculine and a guy's not interested, it's very easy for you to say and do things that will push him away And in your mind, it's then kind of easy for you to think, well, it was me. It was my fault. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. You know, if I hadn't have said that, hadn't have done that, maybe something different could have happened. Maybe he wouldn't have disappeared, okay? So then you get into this blame cycle, blaming yourself because you said things that you later regretted. Whereas when I was in my feminine, I didn't do that, okay? If he didn't want to message me, I was okay with that. If he did, great. I didn't punish him whether he did or didn't. I didn't demand answers. I just stayed with my feelings, processed my feelings. I did a lot of journaling. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I processed my feelings. I didn't resist it. I didn't drown myself in work and going out and partying and girlfriends and trying to distract myself with other guys. I didn't do any of that because I wanted to stay true to my feelings and the reality of what was going on with me. And that's how I was able to get over him on the 3rd month. Okay, and now when I look back on that experience, I can honestly say I don't regret any of that. I didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. And it was just a great experience of 2 people who had a connection. We couldn't have had a relationship, but we had a lovely connection, and those couple of times we spent together was great. Okay, only positive things to say about that. So that's the big difference. And I just want you to be mindful of what you're turning to. Are you using your masculine or are you using your feminine? And just be mindful about that, and to create a situation that hopefully in the future will take care of you, right? Where you can actually benefit from in the future you, no matter what happens. Okay, so that's my big lesson for this week. I hope it's been helpful. And once again, if you're curious to know what your current feminine energy score is, then check out the link on the screen or the link in the description to take my quiz to find out your unique feminine energy score. That's all from me. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends, and I'll be back with another video next week. Bye girls, bye.